Okay, so we're going to be working with the tabs a little more to format some text here. Most importantly, we're going to be looking at the ingredients list, but there are a couple other instances where we can put some tabs in to help us out. And I've already done a little bit of formatting here, and I've chosen the name of the recipe here, Rusty Chicken Thighs, because that was my nickname in high school. Just kidding. Yuck, 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 yuck. Anyways, I'm going to look at the ingredients list. And actually, I'm going to make my character palette go away here because I've already formatted it with some type. So there's basically two things that I can work with here. And the first is this time. So it's usually takes around 3 hours and 40 minutes to prep this. 8 servings. One, or I guess this should be here, one is 94 calories. So I've got the tab in the wrong spot. So one, I'm going to put a comma and a space, or maybe I'll just put an N dash, so option hyphen. And so I'm going to highlight this, and I'm going to go in and set up the tabs. And if I bring this up to the top, I can align it to the top, and I'm going to just put one in here at the 1 inch mark, and then 1 inch, or another one at the 2 inch mark. So you can see I've just sort of spaced this out along here. We may want to tighten that up a little bit afterwards, after we see what's going on underneath it. But you can see I've sort of set some hierarchy here. So we have the heading of what the recipe is, some small caps for the chef's name, and a little bit of a quote as to why he likes rusty chicken thighs. Some space here, some more small caps, some italic, and then our list of our ingredients. Now you can see I've already gone in and put some tabs in here. So what I'm going to do is look and see. You can see that we have the first line, first tab ends here. The second one kicks over to the second line, so it's quite long. We also have a short one here, another short one, a longer one, and then another short one. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up the tab so if I drag my tab along, that it has to be after this point, or else it won't really have much of effect on the overall chunk of text. So right now I'm sitting at about 15 picas, so I'm going to move it to 18 picas. Now 18 picas is already, if we go by multiples of 3 picas, that's a ½ inch. So you'll see the 2 pounds skinless, boneless chicken thighs are already sitting there. So you'll see if I click off it and sort of kill the invisibles by Command Option I, you can see things are lining up for the most part. Now, the only problem is, and this is something that really it's sort of difficult to anticipate when we're working with the text, when we're planning things, is that this is really quite long. Okay, so 2 teaspoons, blah, 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 bracket, such as sample or more to taste. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a soft return in here. Let me just turn on the invisibles first so you can see. So I'm going to hit Shift Return, and then I'm going to put a tab in. And so I've brought this over with this, and you can see everything sort of lines up now, but I have this gap here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, and instead of copying it, if you look under here, we can cut it. So basically it makes the text go away. So I'm going to hit Command X to cut it, and then I'm going to paste it up above. So one line up above. So I'm going to cut this again. I'm going to paste, and then I'm going to cut it, paste, and then finally I'm going to cut it here and paste above. And then I'm going to take this extra return out. So you'll see that, again, I'm going to go and click off this, and hit the W key to make everything go away. And if I hit Command-Shift-T to make the tab go away and hit Command-0, we see our page sort of fitting in the space. So you'll see that we have one column here and another column here, okay? So you'll see that we have these sort of broken up space-wise, and we've broken this up as well, so we can see our list of ingredients. Now what I'm going to do is down below here, I'm going to highlight this, and if I'm just going to go back here and I'm going to turn off the preview mode, and I'm going to go back into this one and bring up my tab settings, and I'm going to set them at 6 picas and 12 picas, just like we have above, and then things will start lining up again. So we have some continuity, and what that does is it brings some harmony overall to the layout. Okay. Now, the other thing that is happening here, and this is getting a little more advanced than probably we should be, but we'll go in and look at it. And I wanted to show you this. It's getting a little more formatting than just the tabs, but I think you guys can probably handle it. And also it makes the text look really nice. You'll see here that we've put a tab in after the number in our directions. Okay, so I've gone in and I've just put a tab in there, and it's tabbed it over 1/2 inch. And everything here is looking really bad right now because there's this huge gap here. So what I want to do is I'm going to highlight everything up until number 5 here. And I'm going to go in, and you'll notice that the size of my type is 11 point. So I'm going to go in and see what an 11 point tab looks like. And what you'll notice is that everything's sort of functioning okay between the number, okay, and where the text starts. But then what we have is this line underneath that starts sort of underneath it, and it's not indented, okay? So it's not looking all that great. It's still really jumbly, and the problem is that we can't see the numbers on their own. And I think seeing the numbers on their own would help a lot. So what I'm going to do is use my paragraph formatting features to create what are called hanging indents. So we've already set up the we've already set up the first part of it by putting the tab in there. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to set up the rest. So the first part we're going to do is get rid of our tab bar, and then we're going to bring up, if we hit Command-Option-T, we can bring up our paragraph formatting. And I'm going to move it up here so we can see it work. So we've already tabbed over 11 points, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tab over or move. This is the left indent column. So it basically will indent the whole block of text however far we want to. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to set it to 11 points. I'm going to hit the tab bar twice to bring it to the next one that we want to look at. So you can see what I've done is I've pushed everything over 11 points. Okay, and if you remember, we also set our tab at 11 points. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it back. So I'm going to bring it back to the left, -11, so minus 11 points. So but this is the first line indent. So basically what I did was I pushed everything over 11 points, and now I'm going to bring the first lines back 11 points. So it should line up directly under the left-hand column where all the other type is starting. So if I hit tab again and I click off it and I make the paragraph formatting bar go away and I hit my W key, you can see now that all the text lines up except these numerals are sitting out on their own. Okay? So I think that really helps the reader or the user of this look at it and go, oh, you know what, that's really looking good. I understand this is the first sentence, this is the second sentence, this is the third. So it helps the reader understand it. If I'm really going to get jiggy with it here, I'm also going to do something that I'm going to highlight these paragraphs, so 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I'm going to go back into my paragraph formatting panel, and down here is this is space before a paragraph, so you can add space automatically before a paragraph, and we can automatically add space after a paragraph. So if I wanted to separate these without changing the leading, I can go in and add, let's say we put in 3 points, and I click off it, and I make this go away. You can see that I haven't changed the leading, I've just put extra space after each of those paragraphs. And if I want to add more, I can go in and again hit Command Option T, and let's say I want to add it and make it 6 points. And again, I'll make this go away and click off it. And you can see now, if we zoom out, you can see that those are really distinctive. The directional things are really distinctive. The other thing that we can do is, if we look up here, you'll notice that there's the 1.5, and I think everything else is a whole number. Yeah. So the 1.5 is a little bit odd there because it looks like it's saying maybe 11/2 or something like that. So there's a couple different things we can do. We can put what's called an en dash, en dash. If you hold down your Option key and hit the hyphen key, it will give you a little connection there. Okay, so if I go under here, actually I'm going to go and do some typing. In this typeface, this is what a hyphen looks like. Okay, whoops, I've lost my hyphen. There we go. I'm going to put a space in. This is what an en dash looks like. So it's a little thinner and probably about 3 times the length of it. And if I hit another space and hold down Option Shift hyphen, I get what's called an em dash. Okay, so hyphen is the first one, en is the second one, and then em dash is the third. Okay, so we use these at different points. This is to break up words, so hyphenate words. This is usually to show a change in time or connect things together. And the em dash is, in correct grammar, it's a sort of a clause. It connects sentences together, or parts of a sentence together. So they do have definite uses, but also in some cases we can just use them because they make things look prettier. Okay. The other thing I want you to experiment with, and this also, pardon me, depends on the typeface you're using. You'll see that this is 1 and then a / and then the number 2. If I highlight all 3 of those characters and I go up into type and I pull down to glyphs, you'll see what comes up here is a palette of all the characters within that typeface. And if you look over here, you'll see that we have predetermined fractions. Okay, so if I double click on this and then close this panel, you'll see that it's come up with 1 1/2. And if I take out this em dash now, or en dash, you'll see that now I have the 1 1/2 that sort of reads a little easier. Okay, so if I had some weird sort of thing, I would have like 1 and 3/16 or something like that. You could set it like that, but if you have the fraction already available, you can use that as well. Okay? Okay, so really what I've done here, Actually, let me go down here. I'm going to go down here. I'm going to make this italic. So I'm going to hit Command-Shift-I, and that will turn it into true italics. The only thing I've got left to do here is just look at this text and make sure everything sort of reads okay. So you'll see this breaks here onto the next line after a comma. That's okay. Maybe kick this over a little bit with a soft return onto the next line. Maybe not. I think we're okay there. And also here, maybe we can kick the 5 minutes and the meat over to the next line. And if I turn on my show invisibles, you'll see my soft returns are in there. I don't have to do that. I'm just doing it because it sort of massages the text a little bit and makes it look a little nicer on the page. You get sort of an even rag on this side. You don't want things to get too raggedy. Okay, and so there we go. So that's another use of the tabs to organize information and get everything sort of set apart. Actually, maybe I can take this space out of here. Okay? Okay.